Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back. It's another Red Pill Religion podcast. Red Pill Religion, where we say many things. But one of the things that we say is that you do not have to be religious. That doesn't mean you get to lie about history, lie about science, and bully religious people. So please support our work on redpillreligion.com. Redpillreligion.com, where every day we have updated articles, videos by us, videos by our others, videos by our volunteer staff, which we have more than a dozen, videos videos and essays by others. We could always use your spiritual as well as financial support. We're here every day and every night. We accept donations at PayPal, Patreon, Bitcoin, and Maker Support. Please find us on Gab AI at Red Pill Religion. Find us on Maker Support at Red Pill Religion. Find us on Facebook at Red Pill Religion and on Patreon at Red Pill Religion. Also, if you want to come in and meet us in our group in Discord, if you're a nerd, please feel free to drop by our Discord chat room where we talk about comic books and manga and anime and history and science and philosophy and religion, and we do like making fun of atheists, but also we have atheist friends who like hanging out with us. So feel free to come on by, especially if you'd ever like to come on and ask us some questions or anything. Joining us tonight, we're going to be answering Seth Andrews' Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot. I'll just be honest up front and say he should have just said Christianity made me talk like a hateful, bullying, shallow jerk, and not like most Christians at all, but whatever. Joining us today is several friends. Let's see. We have Youngblood Ray from Minnesota. Say hi, Youngblood. Oh, did we miss him? Okay, well, he's a Protestant of some sort. And also we have from elsewhere, the White Engine. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, everybody, and also say hi, White Engine.
Hola.
Then we have Mr. Brass, our dirty apostate, ex-Christian deist friend. Say hi, Mr. Brass.
Hello there. I'm Mr. Brass. Nice to be here today.
And then also we have the disgusting gay atheist anarchist, Derek. Say hi, Derek.
I'm not friends with them. They have me tracking the day it's false again. Help me.
The dirty papist, Albrecht von Stolen from the Philippines. Say hi, dirty papist.
Dzień dobry.
And so what we're going to be looking at today is Seth Andrews, the so-called, I can't remember, is Seth Andrews supposed to be the thinking atheist, or did the so-called thinking atheist host his friends?
No, he's not. He used to be, like Aron Ra, he used to be one of Dillahunty's lap dogs until he went solo, and now he's basically the Mr. Rogers of atheism. He tries to be humble and says that he's not the thinking atheist, that it's a symbol to reject faith or some nonsense like that.
Oh, God. Okay.
Of course, by faith he means belief without evidence.
Which he has an abundance
the non-scholarly anti-theist definition.
Yep, exactly. Well,
now, he's nearing 50 now, which means he used to be, he deconverted in his mid-30s, I think, give or take a few years. But, yeah, after all that time of being wrong, he somehow thinks he's right.
You know, the thing is that statistically, left to their own devices, most atheists are male. Most of them have difficulty with their fathers or no father at all, so they have daddy issues, essentially. I know I was one, and statistically, most of us still wind up leaving atheism. Unless, of course, you know, we have professional reasons and can't get out, or even somebody's blackmailing us.
And like Dillahunty and Aron Ra, he's a member of their inner circle, and they make up the unholy trinity, where they tour around the country evangelizing atheism.
Yeah, and like they can't get out if they do have
And
any
like,
doubts. I mean,
Aron Ra is basically the douchebag of the group, and Dillahunty is either or, depending on the day. And Andrews is the kind of guy who will make you feel better about it.
I don't know. I'd like to ask Andrew exactly what, because I'm not sure what his answer would be, but I would like Andrew what he thinks his fellow atheists, including his most devoted audience, would say if he came out one day and says, you know what, I really do think there is something to the near-death experience and the NDE data, and maybe there is an afterlife after all, and I should stop being so dogmatic. Because if I could have been wrong about that, maybe there's some kind of God or spirit forces. If you just said something just that generic, I bet they would tear you to shreds and your career would be over, sir. And somebody ought to acknowledge that. I'm quite positive you accuse religious people of, taking money for what they do. How much money have you made over the years peddling this hateful, shallow brand of atheism that this pastier of being nice is, I don't know. Let's go ahead and, by the way, let me thank Mr. Brass especially for doing the time points. If this guy tries to claim, here's the video we're doing. It's linked in the low bar. Seth Andrews, Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot. Mr. Brass marked up the most appropriate time points. If this guy tries to claim that we quoted him out of context, I don't believe him in advance. Let us know what we did. Mostly let's just watch some painful nastiness in the guise of being funny.
And now I am an atheist, and people will say, well, what's your biggest beef with Christianity? And I usually give my standard response, starting with the Bible, otherwise known as the Goat Herder's Guide to the Universe.
That's actually pretty funny.
Bronze Age goat herders. I would like to know sir, can you present any evidence that you are truly smarter or wiser in any way than a Bronze Age goat herder? Except that you know how to do PowerPoint and use a microphone, which I'm pretty sure I could train a monkey how to do. I know I could train.
Well, he also ran a Christian radio show in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that makes sense.
In fact, I would say it's more like, he seems to be one. Obviously, the worst atheists always come from these Bible thumper traditions. Something rooted in the King James onlyism and the sufficiency.
Yeah, he was raised in a fundamentalist household. Which should tell you something.
Yeah, okay.
I love those households a ton.
Fundamentalist households. Yeah, well, see the book "Born Fundamentalist, Born Again Catholic," guys, for a more sane response. But fundamentalist Christianity of that type is such a tiny minority, and then that's why I find it hateful of guys like Seth got here. I find it really genuinely hateful for guys like Seth or others who grew up in a really dysfunctionally restrictive, rigid, lockstep thinking religion, which is fringe, and then go after everybody else. I'll recommend again this book, Born Fundamentalist, Born Again Catholic. It's from somebody who left fundamentalism because he found truth in, a much more sophisticated, much more intellectual, much not at all mind-controlling religion, despite the ridiculous stereotypes about us as Catholics. But I would even go so far to say, if you came up out of that kind of religion, that fundamentalist, Bible-only literalist stuff, and you found the thinking claustrophobic, I would agree with you. I grew up in that too. I would also say I'll make a case for Catholicism if you want, but I'll make a strong case. I would tell you that Taoism makes more sense than going atheist. Really, it does. It's becoming a Stoic theist makes more sense than atheism. Freaking getting into Edgar Casey makes more sense than atheism, guy. All you've done is close your mind to ideas and painted yourself as better than other people because of a few points, prejudices you have in the world. I'm sorry, did anybody want to say anything else to this guy, or should we move on?
He's also
Yeah, I mean, what I find funny about this is, like, please note, this seems to make the idea that the Bible was written by Bronze Age goat herders and stuff like that. But, I mean, the Bible was written by historians, philosophers,
doctors,
educated priests, and they weren't even in the desert for the most part. They were in coastal plains.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, on multiple levels.
And they're not even and they weren't even in the Bible wasn't even written in the Bronze Age. It was written in the Iron Age.
I know, you have to be so stupid to even do that. But I actually, sometimes I'm willing to just give it to them. And I say, well, why are you smarter than a Bronze Age goat herder? I mean, really, why are you? Because iPhones? I mean...
Anyway, there's, the parts in the Bible that take place in the desert are the life of Abraham and Moses' trek in the desert, and that's about it. The land is pretty much lush after that point.
Yeah, no, okay, somebody's making a huge noise. Please mute yourselves if you're not talking. Okay, anyway. All right, well, let's move on with the next part that Derek marked up for us, 7 minutes to 7:32.
Demonstrates thanks to whom? We can all think of instances when someone thanked God for the meal without giving 1 second to the people who planted the food, cultivated the food, harvested the food, transported the food, bought and sold the food, prepared the food, and then cleaned up the mess afterward. The cooks completely ignored from the equation because we're busy giving our gratitude to a ghost. As my friend Aron Ra likes to say, it's the equivalent of saying, please magically enchant this food. Right?
What on earth, primitive type of Christian were you when you were a Christian, sir? Holy shit, that was dumb. Is that really what you thought when you were a Christian? Really? Okay, anybody got anything else to say to that?
Okay. I have one.
Go ahead.
Stupid. It hurts. It hurts.
I mean, really, you went from one mental. I mean, this is like painful.
God created the chefs. God created the cooks. God created the waiters.
Okay, listen. I'm going to give this to you, Seth, in which, I can't believe by now nobody's given this to you, but whatever. God is basically the idea that something intelligent is running the universe, and in fact, what more sophisticated Christians for thousands of years have said is that creation is ongoing. So the creator is one that's making it all go now, that the universe is constant creation. All this change we're experiencing, all this stuff we're doing is a process of constant creation. This, by the way, is why creation versus evolution debates look dumb to most educated Christians. I'll give it to you in a thought bomb, Seth, and let's see if you can understand it and at least repeat it back to me. God is the operating intelligence that is ultimately underlying the laws of physics and probability. God is running the laws of God is running the laws of physics and intelligence. Oh my goodness. God is running the laws of physics and probability. There's an underlying intelligence running those. That's what God belief ultimately comes down to. Underlying, transcendent, we can split hairs. It's not hard to understand, and there's plenty of evidence for it in multiple areas. So you're full of crap, just reducing everything in this fashion. Who else wanted to add something?
Well, yeah, if I may add something, it seems to make the presumption that you have to either tell God thanks or you have to tell the chefs thanks, which is a false dichotomy. Why can't you do both? Why can't you be grateful for both the chef and for God?
God runs the laws of physics and probability. We have free will within this amazingly logical, intelligible, orderly, predictable universe. And God has provided the means whereby we can be here and have the opportunity to do all the things we're doing together as human beings. And you thank God for all you would call it happenstance. See, the atheist believes these things are all happening by coincidence and by chance. The theist takes the more rational view that nothing truly happens by chance, that it's all God running running things. God runs the laws of probability in physics. They aren't random. We just don't know his plan. But it's wondrous to behold it unfolding as we watch. Now, there's nothing irrational about this. What kind of primitive religion did you grow up in, son? Anybody else got anything, or I can just move on? All right.
Move on.
Let's go to, we're going to jump to really thank you much for doing this, Brass. 10:28
No problem.
to 11:20. Let's go.
This is Dr. Stephanie Frazier. She's a devout Christian. She believes in the literal healing power of Jesus Christ. She's a literal biblical believer. Okay, and she prays for Jesus' healing all the time and believes wholly in his power. She is a person of faith. She is also a dentist. Now, this would be an interesting social experiment. I don't recommend it if you know someone that's going through medical trauma, but it would be interesting, would it not, to talk to the believer who has some loved one going in for a surgical procedure and say, would you trust more the believer, the person who holds to your all-powerful deity, who believes in the healing power of Jesus Christ, and you name and claim that healing? Would you hold to the dentist in the operating room, or would you rather an atheist who knew what the hell she was doing?
To be honest, as a former atheist of many years, who used to believe the atheist lie that there is no difference in character between atheist and religious people, which is total BS, there is. I would utterly trust the believer more. I would assume the atheist was a condescending know-it-all who tended not to take responsibility for their own actions, and that whatever their vaunted reputation, they were probably manipulators who didn't always do everything honestly, because atheists tend to care more about their reputation than anything else, including just being honest. That's what I find. Especially those who are, and by that I mean really it's the identitarians like you who fly that capital A atheist identitarianism.
It depends on the atheist.
Yeah, it depends on the identitarianism of it. A lot of atheists are really just agnostic and uninterested and get bullied into calling themselves atheists. Seth here has financial motive to stay dogmatically atheist and hateful, so he's got to do it to keep making a living. What are you going to do if you start questioning your atheism, Seth? A lot of guys do. I just had an interview with a molecular biologist who did. I know a biochemist who did. I know an astrophysicist who did. I know multiple really smart people who began questioning atheism, and that's all they wrote, because you can't sustain atheism rationally, Seth. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I also may add, this makes the assumption, like, why is their beliefs only the thing that lower quality atheist doctor that may not make her patients feel better? I just think, he sort of makes it seem like just being a Christian doctor somehow makes you unqualified to be a doctor. Just being a Christian makes you unqualified to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah, it's filthy bigotry that he slips in with his audience. And let me tell you, by the way, for Seth and his audience, which, by the way, will again primarily be insecure males with father issues, will be about 90% of that audience there. I used to fit the profile too as an ex-atheist here. But seriously, with chips on their shoulders and, anyway, what got me off on that rant? Who had something else to say? Go ahead, Albrecht.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, he kind of comes off, and I may be reading too much into this, he kind of comes off like he's making it sound like the doctor who believes in fear. Like, listen, dude, I don't care if I'd rather the doctor be a believer. Like, yeah, the person will operate on me and they will pray with me. But
Yes.
But that doesn't mean if they believe in something that it's automatically like their years in medical school mean nothing. Like where did this guy go? That's my question.
Hey, so many doctors wind up being religious as they get late in life. Here's the thing: it is actually a common transition for men to kind of grow up atheist or agnostic or uninterested and dismissive. But then, as they get older and things happen to them, usually they start to think deeper about things, and they discover that atheism is not rationally sustainable and is really kind of a mean and arrogant position, because it is. Anybody else want to say something?
I do.
Go ahead, Ulrich.
The guy operates under a false dichotomy of the Christians tend to... Okay, the guy thinks that Christians only do is pray the illness away, which is wrong.
Correct.
God created the physician so that the physician can heal people. God also gave the physician the knowledge on how to heal people. In Seth's case, the Christian dentist and the atheist dentist both have qualifications to do so because, guess what? They studied under the right courses and whatnot. Seth's premises are really, really, really stupid, and it really hurts my brain.
Seth and his audience, here's the question for Seth's audience who pride themselves on science. We do have multiple peer-reviewed studies which show that prayer is effective in quite a number of areas, including being able to beat placebo in many cases. Skeptics on the internet try to obscure the fact that we have that, and skeptics on the internet even sometimes misrepresent what we have in the peer-reviewed data. I can show you where skeptics on the internet and atheists on the internet actively misrepresent peer-reviewed scientific data, fully rigorously peer-reviewed scientific data, misrepresent it, and there is evidence for an afterlife, and anybody who says there isn't is lying. Go ahead, Engine.
But that said,
yeah.
Contrary to popular myth, praying isn't asking what you want and having it answered exactly the way you want it.
Correct. God is not a wish fairy. God is the ultimate intelligence operating the laws of physics and probability. You're asking that to help you. It's almost unthinkable that you're asking God to do that. But we believe God answers prayers, which means yes, that we seem somehow to be able to affect the laws of probability with our prayers, and we have evidence that is true.
There's three ways prayers are answered: yes, no, and wait.
Yeah.
Or
when it's good for you,
not the way you want.
Here's an old Catholic way of putting it too. So not until it's good for you. It's not good for you right now. You'll have to wait.
I mean, all praying is supposed to do is just showing that you recognize God as an ultimate authority.
That's correct.
It's not supposed to be like it's not like you're supposed to be like, it's not like God's a genie that you just rub a lamp and you get 3 wishes.
Yeah. God is not a
big happy blue genie that sings songs and grants wishes.
All right. Why don't we jump ahead to the next one, which is going to be 2005 to 2040. He's going to go after karma here. You know what? I can't wait to go to talk about that as a Christian.
Problem is, hey karma, I know some people you missed. We can all think of horrible people who got away with it, right?
Like you?
We can all think of somebody, and we can all think of beautiful, wonderful, worthy human beings whose lives were plagued with misery and pain. When I was a believer, a faithful believer, I would shrug and say, whatever will be, will be. It's all part of God's master plan. Everything happens for a reason. A church roof collapses.
Okay, go ahead, somebody, because that just makes my brain hurt.
No, that's
Engine, go ahead. No, go.
That's a bad thing.
White Engine, then Youngblood.
bad things just happen. That's not God's will. And anybody who's I piss on that kind of
teaching that if something bad.
That's not quite how I see it, but go ahead, Buck, go ahead.
But there are examples in the Bible where God takes something bad and turns it into something good. Like, for example, Joseph's story.
Yeah, we have a diversity of theological views and backgrounds on this show, and we embrace that. So go ahead, young blood. What I think this comes down to is a childish view on his part, that because he doesn't see the people that he thinks deserve justice get justice in the way and the time and the fashion that he thinks it should be, at some point, someone should confront him and the rest of his audience with the fact that we've all got people we are convinced never saw justice. We usually will tend to do better, though, if we think to when we ourselves did not get justice, because really, don't tell me you never did nothing bad. I did. Everybody does. It's the question of will there be final judgment? And I'll be honest, I in terms of karma is not a Christian concept per se. You'll find some syncretics who can sort of make the idea work in, but we don't need to.
Karma goes all the way back to Buddhism and even Hinduism.
But it's the idea that, just to defend the idea, explain the idea coherently. It's the idea that when you do evil, your soul will be punished, and you're probably either going to pay for that evil in this life before you die, or you'll pay off for it in where you go in the next life, which fundamentally isn't that different from what the more Abrahamic faiths, who think we mostly only get one life, say, because unlike the fundamentalist Christianity I'm sure that you grew up in, Mayor Matt, most Christian denominations don't believe heaven and hell are binary propositions, and that there is a state and a place after death where there's more to do and more we will experience before we go on to our ultimate destination. Most religions, Shintoism is more sophisticated than that fundamentalist stuff you grew up in. Sorry. Buddhism is more sophisticated. We hang out with some Buddhists. Hinduism is more sophisticated than the stuff you're spouting, Matt. Anybody want to say anything else here?
It's Seth.
Seth. Well, I'm sorry, I keep calling him. Okay, it's Seth Andrews. I don't care. And this guy really calls himself the thinking atheist. I mean, he's just so nasty.
No, I said before. He says he's not the thinking atheist. That it's a symbol to reject faith.
Yeah. Oh, he's got an awful.
Ultimately, if there is no free will, no one actually thinks. They just react. They react to stimulus.
Yeah, we're all meat robots. Scott Adams somehow manages to believe that. It mars his thinking. But okay, let's go to 2606 or so to 2640.
Possible to please God. Faith, as it says in Hebrews, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is a verse designed to sound profound while making absolutely no sense.
What?
Have you noticed?
What?
Faith has substance because it reflects what we hope is going to happen. And then that substance of hope serves as evidence for that which we do not have evidence for.
No! No!
What do we sound like? I've been taught since my earliest memory.
No! My brain hurts. What? Does he... Hey, can you show me mathematics? Can you show me mathematics? Show me math. Math is a thing not seen, but I have evidence that math works. Let me get a paper and pencil and draw you some squiggles. It'll show you how this unseeable, non-visible thing called math works. Also, X-rays. Have you heard of them? Have you ever seen one? Hey, has anybody here seen an X-ray? Have you ever seen anything non-corporeal? I have, but of course there would be no physical evidence.
Do you know what a gene looks like? Have you seen one for yourself?
Yeah, evidence of things.
Gravity cannot be seen. Magnetism cannot be seen.
Seth!
What about air?
Seth!
Well, this all goes back to Mark Twain, faith is believing what you know ain't so.
Not so, Mr. Twain.
Not so, Mr. Twain.
It's funny because he
Wilson, not a good one.
Yeah,
he puts his Hebrews because, because atheists like to quote this, but they don't take into account the entire chapter, the entire story that says, that shows about the patriarchs who all came to believe in God, who all had God reveal himself in ways that confirm their beliefs within their lifetimes. The thing is faith means trust gained through what has been shown, aka faith, and it is the assurance, aka the substance of things expected by earned trust over the future, which is not seen. Basically, the patriarchs, they had evidence of God, and they trusted in that evidence and knew that he would fulfill his promises over time, long after they were dead.
Yeah, let me make a point about faith here, because it is a lie to say that faith is belief without evidence. That is a lie. That is always a lie. Only a certain kind of not very smart religious person would say something like that. It's ridiculous. Let me tell you something to Seth's audience here. Seth is giving you indoctrinated stupid. Let me tell you something. Evidence of things not seen. The Big Bang Theory. Not a single one of you has seen the Big Bang happen. Not a single one of you, I dare say, at this moment, has the scientific capacity and mathematical ability to go out and go to understand Georges Lemaitre's original figures and the relativity that they relied upon from Einstein, and verify from the original peer-reviewed studies for yourself that indeed the Big Bang Theory happened. Do you know why you believe in the Big Bang Theory? Because you've told about it and people have told you that it is science. I am not in any way doubting the Big Bang Theory. It was I'm Catholic, and the Big Bang Theory was formulated by a Catholic priest named Georges Lemaitre. But you know what? I'm not arrogant about it either, because I am also willing, as a Christian, to say yes, but I'm willing to concede I don't know everything, and maybe Big Bang Theory is wrong. Am I allowed to think that? Yeah, my world would not be shattered if it turned out the Big Bang Theory was wrong. In either case, you're taking a faith position. No, you have no way of verifying the Big Bang Theory. You're taking other people on faith. I mean, show me that you can verify that black holes actually exist. That you can do so. You personally can do that. Or are you taking on faith that people who taught you about black holes? Quantum physics. Have you seen a quantum? How do you know what one looks like? And how do you know they exist? And how do you know it's not just a mathematical trick? You're taking it on faith.
It's pretty good.
Anybody else want to go? I mean, somebody else say something, because God, this stupid hurts. We know we're there because we have faith. We have faith in the scientists and their integrity who told us this. And we have faith in the teachers in the textbooks that told us this. Nobody here has the ability, without resources we don't even have, to go and verify all this ourselves. Do we?
Not off our head, but we do learn that. But and again, I do think it's funny that they just believe that on a whim. But we believe in someone judging us and looking over us. Oh no, we're crazy.
Right. Some ultimate intelligence is running things. You know, like is posited in the digital physics theory of the universe, which Neil deGrasse Tyson endorses, and so do others, which obviously implies some ultimate intelligence, much more intelligent and much more powerful and aware, has to be doing things, which everybody would call a god. The jig is up, man. Even if you don't come to Jesus or whatever, some kind of God has to exist. Some kind of afterlife have to exist. You guys chose the wrong paradigm. Scientific naturalism. It's bunk. Alright, anybody else want in, or should we jump on to 27 minutes?
Logical positivism was proven to be inefficient back in the 70s.
Yeah.
That should tell something about the worldview of people like him.
It's ridiculous how ideological it is. All right, let's go from 27 to 2750. I really thank you for this, Brass.
Be like in our own life. They're like, be like John, be like Paul. Grow up and be like Peter. Did they ever say, be like Thomas? Doubting Thomas? No.
Yeah.
Why? Well, doubt's a problem.
I love
The other
doubting
disciples,
Thomas.
John 20:25. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we've seen the Lord. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. He wanted evidence. He's my favorite disciple.
Mine too.
Right? Show me the evidence.
Mine
Let's get
too.
some peer review going.
Mine too.
What did Jesus rebuked him, right? He said, because you've seen me, you believe. Blessed are those who have not seen and believe. Have faith that it's happened.
Oh, long read. All right, I'll give some. I'm going to restrain myself. Who wants to go?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Albrecht. Go ahead, Albrecht. Go.
Okay. Thomas was also my favorite disciple because he was doubting. What happened? Jesus appeared, told Thomas to touch the parts of his body that touched it. Jesus told Thomas to touch the holes in his hand and the wound in the side. What happened? Thomas had found out that the resurrection was real, and then what happened? He decided to preach. He preached so hard that he went to India and became a martyr there. This is why you have Christians in India for the last 2,000 years. It's all because of St. Thomas the Doubter.
Yeah, St. Thomas is one of my favorites. Actually, being one of those crazy supposed pagan idolatrous Catholics, I actually do say a prayer to St. Thomas on a regular basis in my rosary. I love St. Thomas. And I relate to him because the way I see him and the way most Christians actually see him, the smart ones, is he was insecure and mostly doubted himself. And he didn't want to believe because it was too good to be true, sort of thing. And nothing would, I actually relate to that because I spent many years as an atheist, and it took me a long time just to be confident that I thought that there was a God, because there was evidence. It took me a long time to get there because I was very confused. And many years I became more and more confident about it, but I was not very articulate about it, and I couldn't explain it very well to people. And I actually had people be rude and mean to me just because I couldn't articulate it very well, which was painful, but not everybody can, and so slowly over time. I mean, I eventually got to the point where at this point, I've seen so much evidence that it's just ridiculous. And frankly, I think it takes ridiculous denialism, like Richard Carrier level denialism, like Ken Ham level denialism, to deny that we have massive evidence that the resurrection did happen. And so it's so abusive for you people to pretend that we have no evidence for what we believe, just because you don't find the evidence sufficient and you enjoy picking on and belittling Christians who you know will not fight back. The only thing I will say, though, is a growing number of Christians, even Christians of denominations that don't like each other, see atheists as bullies, as really nasty, hateful bullies that you have to learn to defend yourselves from. I've seen Baptists talking that way. And they were Baptists who don't like Catholics, but I still heard them talking about how atheists are bullies and you got to defend yourself from them because they lie so much about the Christian faith. And I'm like, yeah, you go. Atheists, you're horrible bullies, and you're a good example of a bully, sir. You really are. You're just hateful. You can't live and let live, and you can't be bothered. You know, you're too busy making money, evangelizing, and making money, and sowing. I mean, really, even if Christianity is just mythology, let them be, sir. Oh my God, that's what I said when I was an atheist. But anyway, who else wants to add something?
Yeah, and I mean, the whole problem is like the whole story wasn't to show that raising Lazarus from the dead, and he even seen the empty tomb.
And Jesus is standing right before him with all his friends, and he still can't believe it. Can't you see that means he's in a state of denial? He's so insecure. He thinks he must be hallucinating, kind of thing.
Then Aron Ra actually said that if he saw Jesus appear to him in front of his face, he'd dismiss him as a hallucination.
Yeah. Which is that's some serious faith commitment there, by the way. It really is. It really, really is. But I mean, there's Jews who will say the same thing, and it's like, well, okay, they're faithfully committed to that belief. I can't talk them out of that one, I don't think. But admit that it's a faith position, please, because there is evidence that the resurrection happened. Even as responsible atheists admit it, responsible Jews admit, well, yes, there's some evidence. There's Muslims who say, yeah, get off of it. Anyway, all right. Should we move on? We got one more segment. We're going to 36, 38. I mean, really, I mean it. It's like listening to a bunch of people that would take our children away, if they could, just for teaching them the rational evidence that we believe that there is a God. It's obscene.
Yeah, and loving your enemy sure makes you talk like an idiot.
Yeah, no lie. Okay, we want to, I'm sorry, 36, 38. All right, I'm just going to go a little further back than that. This will be the last bit, and we'll wrap it up.
Far better to grasp the universe as it really is than to persist in delusion, however satisfying and assuring. Perhaps one day, won't be soon, but maybe one day, humanity will see an end to all of the insanity, the apologetics, acrobatics, the magical thinking, the corruption, the doublespeak, whatever.
Naturalism.
And perhaps one day we will see better ideas prevail. I want to leave you with an encouragement that you are part of that fight on every level. In your families, in your homes, in your neighborhoods, in your friends, in your offices, in your schools, in your social circles, on the internet, as activists, as human beings, as rationalists, you are part of the solution. What you do and say matters. You are making a difference. And I encourage you to continue to do so. After all, what we all really want is not to kill God. We simply want a personal relationship with reality.
We are not a cult. We are not a cult. We have no ideology. Yay! We are not a cult. Come on, say it with me. No, we are not a cult. I mean, Holy shit, man. Okay.
I just find it ironic. He said your opinions, your voice, or something, whatever he said, matters. If we're all just soulless meat machines that appear on a random rock by chance in an uncaring universe filled with random tragedy, nothing at all matters on any level.
And sir, by what standard do you assert that you and your ideological cohort grasp reality better than the rest of us? You have no right to make that claim. You know, arbiter of truth, tell us more. Arbiter of reality, tell us more. Seth Andrews, who the fuck are you to say what reality is, sir? I mean, seriously, are you out of your mind? You and your cult brethren determine what reality is, really? By what standard? Because you put on the big capital A atheist button? And by the way, I mean, this is part of what got me out of atheism, was noticing this cultism. You're wearing a fucking symbol that is universally recognized and has a message, and then you're saying, we're not part of an organized movement and we have no ideology, just we're smarter than all religious people and religion is bad and we have to take it over from rationalism and we are the science people and no one else has the science but us because we have the rationalism. Oh my God, you are a creepy cult. It's what made me think there must be something wrong with atheism more than 10 years ago, more like 15, I think. Can't remember anymore. Someone else want to say something?
Yeah. First off, thanks for Seth. I think I cut my finger on that freaking reality thing, but yeah, it's like he's trying to say, oh, we're not trying to kill God. That's exactly what you people are trying to do. How many times do we see it? Like, again with Nietzsche, I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but Nietzsche saying God is dead, all that stuff. And yeah, like, that's basically their whole thing is, oh, we want to kill God, or we want to make him cease to exist, or all that stuff. Like, don't lie to my face, because we know what you're up to.
Oh, notice he really said they got to go out there in the schools and their jobs and the government and stuff. In other words, they're going to actively proselytize their beliefs. And like programmed drones, they're going to claim their beliefs are not beliefs. Well, horse shit. We have all kinds of reason to think there's a God. We have all kinds of reason to think there's an afterlife. We have all kinds of reason to think something intelligent is running things. We have all kinds of reason to think that there are valid spiritual truths in every major religious tradition and many minor ones. We can argue over good and evil ones in another time, but even as a Christian, I would say that the idea of reincarnation on the, in the way that the Buddhists and the Hindus believe in it, is certainly more rational and more evidence-based than your absurd evidence-free hypothesis that we just snuff like a candle, which you cannot support.
How he pretends to be humble, but then he says something condescending, like, we just want to have a personal relationship with reality. Like, I do have a personal relationship with reality. That's why I know there's a higher power.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead, Albert.
Yeah, the guy talks like a fundamentalist Christian. Okay. How do I know this? It's simple. That's how. Second, the guy acts as if atheism is in a religion.
A crazed nutjob fundamentalist, man, like something out of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We're going to take you and we are going to reprogram you to think like us because we know reality and you do not. We will reprogram you, and if we cannot reprogram you, we will reprogram your children to think like us because we are the meat robots. We are the meat robots.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
They become mindless husks eventually. They become like soulless husks.
We are the meat robots. We are the rational ones. Anyone else want in? I mean, really, somebody should point this out to Scott Adams sometimes. By the way, if somebody would send this to Seth Andrews, please do. We got banned for life. I am banned for life from Twitter for offending atheist feelings. I am. T.J. Kirk can threaten to kill, threaten to break my jaw, and we can see, people calling for genocide of Christians, and that lies on there. But say, lob a too mean barbed insult at an atheist, and you're banned for life. For life, by the way. So someone send this to Seth Andrews. Ask if he supports that lifetime ban too, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
You should interview him.
Interview Seth Andrews. He has an open invitation. I will not pretend to be friends, but I will I will be polite if he'll listen to me complain about it, about why and listen to me hear why I left the atheist cult. Because it is a cult network. I'm sorry, guy. You're in a cult. You sell atheism for a living. You sell anti-theism, and he sells atheism. A specific, identifiable, very easily described brand of atheism with a whole boatload of presuppositions that you can't support, that go beyond simple atheism and are very ideological. Who else wants to say something? Or who has final thoughts? Tell you what, everybody gets final thoughts. Starting with, we'll move for top to bottom again. Final thoughts, Albrecht. Do you have any final thoughts for this guy and his audience?
He and his audience are fundamentalists for atheism, or rather anti-theism.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
That's what happens when these people get to power.
Yeah. Really. Oh, we are going to reprogram your children to be meat robots like us because we are the rationalists. All right, Mr. Brass, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember before in the video, he had went into the whole Christians don't know their Bible, like 50% of them, think Sodom and Gomorrah are married.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into that beforehand, and I just always say, and these are the same people that are turning into atheists. They're no more smarter than they were before when they were stupid Christians. Now they're just switched sides and just stupid atheists.
Yeah, why not
with
try
the same exact view?
And the idea that atheists know the Bible more than Christians, that's propaganda for the most part. But there are a lot of Christians out there who don't know their Bibles, and they're the type of impressionable people that become anti-theists.
I am...
Surprise, surprise.
Yep. I'll be honest, reading the Bible helped make me an atheist. It was something called the deposit of the faith that brought me back to it. Was those your final thoughts, Injun? Sounds like that was your final thought. Youngblood, Sir Ray, what were your final thoughts?
Yeah, Seth Andrews, dude, you need to take some theology classes or something, because you do not know what you're talking about.
No.
I understand you were a fundy Christian and all that, but you're not much different now.
No.
Also, I can kind of see you and your eyes going Hail Sagan in that last slide.
Oh, man. All right, yeah, I mean, I think I've said all I need to say, except that I left atheism and I started questioning whether atheism itself made sense because of things like this. I have a personal relationship with reality. We're not a cult. We just have identifiable talking points and meetings and identifiable pseudoscience and identifiable fake history and an identifiable axe to grind and an identitarian attitude and a political agenda, but we are not a cult and we are not a movement. Come join here, pay membership dues. I mean, really, at some point, if you guys can't look around and see that that's what you've done, it's ridiculous. Go get into frickin' yoga, for goodness sake, if you have to. All right, everybody. Well, we're here every night, so please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Please give us your spiritual support and your financial support on redpillreligion.com. And God bless everybody.